Alright, so I was just in the middle of a game here, and the setup kind of got itself to a point where I thought this is an interesting point to talk about mid game, late game, mid game transition to late game, KJF type of strategy for both Axis and Allies, really. Um, so just to kind of give you the layout, give you a view where we're at. So one of my key points, so I'm going to talk allies first, okay? So one of my key points for allies is as I'm developing, I've started just keeping my two transports over here and start developing units up onto Africa when I can. Because as we talk about it, Africa is going to be just like a late game KGF. If it's going to be a longer game, Africa's the key to the income, right? I mean, that's kind of the dividing line of who's going to have the higher income and ultimately have the advantage in the long run. So I start shucking units over however I can in the early game. So these are my original two US Zone 11 transports. I never took them around to the Pacific or anything. I just kept them over here and just been getting units in when I can. He's been making it challenging because he had a battle, or excuse me, a bomber, and had to be careful there. And he's now got the remnants of the Japan fleet down here, so I had to kind of pull off of going into the southern part of Africa. I've just been putting some units down here. So that's one part of the Allies. So in the late game, like I said, this is going to be part of the battle. U.S. is going to be responsible for the Southeast Asia corridor, and for the most part, I have them working on stabilizing and neutralizing the African. I try to choke Germany up in the little arch here of Transjordan, Egypt, Sudan, Persia. As they try to get through here, I try to choke them up. Now this game's a little bit unique in that I never did kill the battleship for Germany, and then they bought a carrier, and so they do have this capability of shucking down to the Northern Africa and the Arch here, but I hopefully can still kind of can bind things up around here is my goal, I'll say at least. We'll see how well we're able to do that or not do that as the game goes on. The UK, meanwhile, their job is to just start trading over here on the Western Europe side, from the Norway, Finland corridor, as well as France, Northwest Europe, maybe coming into Karelia and Baltic, and just trading away here. You got to watch every once in a while. They'll actually give you a shot on Berlin because they're busy building units up more towards the front, and they accidentally forget about holding Berlin enough. Right now, I've only got one transport here, so he doesn't have to have much, but we're going to build that up with time. So, late game, UK is trying to trade as many units in the western side. US is trying to plug up Africa, as well as the heart of where they got set up. If you notice, it's not even US 7 yet, and here we are. We've got our production set up. I've got 3 transports over here already. We're ready to build 15 US units a turn, and UK is going to build 3 units a turn. So I just built the last 2 factories on US 6. So we got these up and running, got developed here. He just took Moscow on Germany 7, and he's getting ready to start targeting down. So this side, I try to draw the battle line at the India border, right? It's wonderful. If we can stop it here, then we can continue to produce 3 units for UK as well right into here. And I used to think that that was the hard line, but I've learned since then that you can actually give up India and have your defensive line be here at Burma and still pull off a victory. So I would have my defensive line Burma, Thailand, that these two stay stacked. I can't let them penetrate into these two zones and be trading Yunnan and India. I'm hopeful, like I said, if I can stop them in India, that's great because then I got a direct shot on Persia. Plus being able to build these units right here. But it's not lost if you give up India. I used to think it was. It's not. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get all my navy into 36. I like the Thailand factory because I can build, 2 boats or air or whatever I need to hopefully stay ahead of Japan, who's going to be building airplanes. So Japan's got 3 fighters, 3 bombers. In this game, they're able to build 2 bombers a turn. So I'm going to have to stay ahead of that to some degree. So we're going to get everything back to C Zone 36, and then the transport's going to go grab and bring back to Yannan, grab and back to Yannan, grab and back to Yannan. Excuse me, Burma. I don't know why I'm saying Yannan, Burma. So U.S. gets established here, shucking all their units into Burma, pushing into India and Yannan. Meanwhile, ideally that's 2, 4, 5 transports, and in the early part, if I can, I'll buy a fighter return as well to be ready to come up. That way I can just build a carrier here from time to time. If I can't build a fighter, then I'll build the extra infantry, and when I get double, then I'll pull them over. But I need at least 5 transports in the long run to have the most efficient shucking going on. But what I end up doing is I end up building more than 5. I'll build 6, then I'll sneak in a 7 and an 8, and those extras can hit right into here to hit Germany trying to sneak across into the arch and trying to get into South Africa. So I can take them and hit here, and as I get 8, 9, then all of a sudden I can do a sudden miraculous major build and potentially have a shot on Tokyo as well. So I will slowly increase my transports above. I won't rush it because I gotta keep pouring units in. But that's what I'll try doing to help protect the arch and protect Africa. So that's my strategy as U.S. sometimes, or as allies sometimes, if they don't have a heavy air build going, because sometimes they don't, they focus on land. They'll build a factory and focus on land. I'll create a little U.S. shuck going up here as well and trading in the northeast here for Japan as well. So as allies, if you look at it, we're going to try and make Axis have to support different points. So I'm going to be here, point 1, point 2, point 3, and when possible, point 4, and they have to make sure they distribute their forces in all 4. They've got to cover all this ground. Mine are just coming straight from factories to here, a little bit of a jolt to here, straight from factory to here, a little bit of a jolt to Africa. But he's got to march all the way here, all the way here, all the way here, and of course he is right here on this front. So I want to try and spread the Axis units out as much as possible. For Axis, this is a top 10 Axis player, if you haven't been following the game. It's end of season 10, and he's 5th or 6th, something like that. But in any case, they're going to be building bombers, consistently building bombers and Air Force, because what they want to do is they want to get enough bombers they can push this fleet off, or a bomber can also that's sitting here very easily can help push this fleet off, so they can move to push this fleet off and then jump back and push this fleet off and create headaches side to side with the bombers. And ultimately, once they push them off, then they start bombing, get a chance to build a fleet, and then they have to either take Philippines or the UK is how Axis wins this game, because they're at 7 victory seas, they can only get to 8 by taking India. Their 9th has either got to be one of these 2. And so we got to protect from the sea line, so we got to make sure we don't let them build in Sea Zone 5. But eventually they just build more and more and more and more bombers and just bomb the heck out of the UK, and they get enough to push the fleet off, and then we're in trouble. But if we can keep our Africa, we can keep the income up so that we can try to build and match with boats to their bombers to keep our fleets continuing to shuck units into the southeast, west, and Africa. So anyways, just kind of going a little bit of a rundown on mid-game, end-game KJF type of strategy. But ultimately, once again, Africa tends to be the long-term victory key. Like I said, this game's a little unique because normally there's not a Axis Mediterranean fleet. I do plan on trying to address that as quickly as can. A lot of times I like to park a couple Allied subs inside the Med fleet when it's clear so that they can't drop in one of these two and I can take it out. Because we want to sink the Axis fleet and we want to allies to control all Navy as soon as possible. Alright, there we go. That's a rundown on the mid-game, late-game KJF strategies.